Psychology behind first impression. And why do we judge people so quickly? Why do we make impression of people so quickly? Have you ever noticed that sometimes you are meeting somebody for the very first time, even before they open their mouth to say anything, you have actually judged them, you've actually decided on who they are or who they are not, you've actually formed an opinion about them, and that opinion sticks with you for a very long time? Or have you also been judged based on first impression, that you realize that they actually judge you wrongly, the first impression was very wrong? Has it occurred to you that such thing can happen? Now, welcome to Psychology Compass, where we unravel mysteries behind human behavior, human relations, psychology, and everything that has to do with how we behave. Every week, we break down psychology topics into simpler, understandable terms for everyone to understand. So, while we're doing that, we actually aim to make people better in their relationship, understand themselves, and people around them. So now, if you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe and watch this video to the end, because at the end of this video, I will be unraveling the psychology behind that behavior and how you can be master of judging people the right way. Now stick around. At the beginning of this video, I teased a question that have you ever been judged based on first impression, and what do you notice? What did you observe? The truth is this: we all make first impression. First impression is very, very important. We all judge people based on first 5, 7, 10, 20, 30 minutes of meeting them. As a matter of fact, it is one of our survival instincts. It is one of our survival skills that is coming to play. This is it. First impression itself is not bad. It is not bad that you make impression of people when you are meeting them, without allowing them to talk, before allowing them to have a conversation with you, even before making details out of making decisions out of little details you notice about them, maybe how they look, how they dress, how they walked, how they, these tiny details, and you suddenly form opinion about it. And sometimes that opinion may be irreversible, even if they are actually different from the image they portrayed the first time you are meeting them. Now, let's break it down one after the other. I said it earlier that first impression is not bad. Of course, it is not. It's our survival instinct. Our forefathers, right before us, generations before our own generation, they actually survived because of first impression. It's part of the survival instinct that was bestowed on them by nature to actually evolve. So that skill actually they transferred it to us. What do I mean? Imagine yourself in the primitive era where you were alone in an island, and suddenly you are seeing an animal for the very first time. That animal may be dangerous, may be friendly, may be animal you can move close to, maybe animal you should run away from. So your first impression of that animal is based on previous experience of similar animals you have seen, or how that animal look, or your perspective about what that animal can be, which you may be wrong or right. Let's put that into context. Let's make that clear. First impression, you can be wrong or right. It's not always accurate, and it's not always wrong, but it is an instinct given to you to make you survive. So our forefathers used it and they survived with it. So they passed it down to us. That is why till today it is still part of our lives. But environment has changed. What used to be very dangerous at that time may not be as dangerous to us now again. Human beings have evolved. So the mindset is still working. The template is still effective. That is why we judge people we are meeting for the first time based on tiny details. It could be how they look. It could even be their skin color. It could be how they dress. It could be how they talk. It could be how they walk. It could be literally body language, everything that has to do with their composure. So it is your mind that is actually trying to scan them for the very first few minutes of meeting them. And the truth is this: your mind is actually protecting you. That is the essence of that first impression. That is the essence of your mind working silently to discover who they are, to know if you are to close to them, if you are to move away from them, if you are to even listen to them, if you are to actually allow them to talk, if you are to actually establish anything to them with them. So your mind is protecting you. That is why that first impression is very, very important. Now, let us go a step further. First impression is very, very important because whatever that will happen after meeting them hinges on the first impression. If you are meeting somebody and immediately you realize that this person is a liar, whatever you do with that person afterwards will be based on your assumption that they are liar, that the person is a liar. If you are meeting somebody today and you realize your first impression about them is that they are very good people, someone very honest, very dependable, very reliable, whatever you'll be doing with them from that moment will be hinged upon your belief about who they are. So it is very, very important. So now, what should be in your mind is, how can I stop people from having negative first impression about me? Because it's very, very important. You cannot be going about life and be sending wrong signals to people, even if you are different from the impression you are given. Number one thing is this: always respect, look, look presentable. Respect yourself. Carry yourself, your charisma, your courage. Always look acceptable, so that at least that will break the first barrier of judging you based on how you look. Appear decent, appear acceptable, you know, appear acceptable to people, so that by their scale of judgments from 1 to 10, they can mark you 7, they can mark you 8. So now let's shift from that. Now, first impression, like I said, is not bad. It's a way of our mind protecting us from harm. And that is very, very important. So now, and I ask that, is it always right? No. Because if you can think your mind, you realize that you must have judged someone wrongly. Maybe you are meeting them for the first time and the impression you have about them is not exactly accurate later when you realize who they are. So now, kindly put this in the comment section if you have made a mistake in judging someone wrongly at the time based on first impression, based on how they look. It could even be a relationship, it could be a colleague in your office, it could be a boss, it could be anybody. Just put it in the comment section, let us learn from it so that other people too actually have reasons to actually pick from your advice and knowledge. So now, as I said, you can be wrong or right. At the same time, it is not bad that you are actually making first impression of people. It is your survival instinct at work. So now, how can you always make good impression about people? Good first impression about people. Number one way is to actually be open to discover who they are. Don't judge based on look, appearance, skin color, or any outward quality or property. Allow time, try and discover people. Allow them to express themselves. Allow little interaction before you make final conclusion about who they are. Number two, which is also very, very important, is to realize that your first impression of them shouldn't be the final. You can actually have a positive first impression or negative one. So it shouldn't be the final. You should not allow confirmation bias to make it the final. You should allow new discovery. You should allow them to actually evolve into who they are, really. Because sometimes, like I said, you can be wrong. Then number three, on how to actually always make good impression about people, is to understand that whatever you are having of someone, whatever impression you're having of someone is temporary. You can actually realize that this person is good at the beginning, the person may be bad later. So whatever impression you are having about someone is temporary. Allow effects to play its card. Allow people to actually be themselves in your environment. Don't communicate that you are studying them or you are meeting them. Communicate that you are free. So let them naturally free themselves to actually reveal who they are to you. Thank you so much for following this far. And like I said, put it in the comment section. Let us understand if you have ever judged someone wrongly based on first impression, or if someone has judged you wrongly based on first impression. Just left from each other. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.